platform. I'm KeyStone and this is RedBone. We launched this platform as a way of speaking to the people from a point of view that we feel may have been overlooked or just not heard. It seems to be a lot of interest in the city of Pakoima, a few miles north of Los Angeles. Our story is too complex for just one point of view. We decided to give you a full insight into our hometown, Pakoima, California. We're going to get into our history, street culture, politics, sports legends, and music legends. From the sometimes bitter, sometimes sweet relationships between the blacks and the Pakoima Latinos, to the contentious interactions with the Foothill Division Police Department. Pakoima has a unique voice that distinguishes itself from the greater Los Angeles area. We've heard from everyone else, now it's time for the Pakoima Perspective.
Alright, here we go. Pakoima Perspective, right back at you. You got me, KeyStone. You got the boy RedBone in the house. And today we got a special guest from Compton. His name is TJ Loftin. We got this brother on today. Very interesting brother. He's into the lowriders and also the real estate. And he gonna show us today how those two intersect. So let's get ready for a hell of a show, y'all. Bone, you got anything?
Hey, y'all remember to comment, like, and subscribe. We try to get them likes up, y'all. So, we got the homie coming from Compton in here, and he's finna break it on down, y'all.
Trying to expand over the hill.
We're expanding,
expand over the hill. So, TJ, like I always like to start it off, man. What year were you born? Where and what area were you born in?
I was born in L.A. in 1971.
Okay.
And I think it was like 77 or something like that, 73rd in Normandy and the A-Trades or something like that. That's where my pops lived. But then when moms and pops broke up, moms remarried and moved to Compton, Rosecrans Central, Campanella Park neighborhood, So I grew up right there.
Okay. So you just I was born in 73, so you're just a couple years older than me. So I kind of know what was going on. We grew around that same era, but can you describe Compton to me in the early 70s or late 70s, early 80s?
Man, Compton was a little wild, it was like, people started having some real money. You know what I'm saying? I watched the cats go from actually we had cats in my neighborhood that was making money already, but then when crack came, then other people started having that money, and then a whole lot of money started coming in. So it was kind of interesting because I had my childhood partner Zulu that I grew up with. He grew up to be the #1 gangster. You know what I'm saying? And he was good with them hands. So from kindergarten all the way to high school, I would walk in his shadow, you know what I'm saying, which I had his ear, so he made sure I was straight, because I was green as can be, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
I wasn't with all that gangbang life. I didn't understand that, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
So by the time I got to Vanguard Junior High School in Compton, right around the corner, you know what I'm saying, over there in the 135s, where, you know what I'm saying?
Okay.
I went to Vanguard, and that's where I lost my greenness, you know what I'm saying? My homeboy Big Mac got shot with a gun,
Ooh.
and that was the first time I ever knew somebody that actually got killed, so
right.
That changed everything.
That changed, you grew up quick, man.
Like, hey, this is real out here. Like
real.
This ain't like the cartoons. He ain't coming back. You know what I'm saying? We ain't gonna wake up tomorrow. He gonna be back on again. It's like, it was real. So it took some wrapping around my head, and these cats out here fighting. That's why everybody wearing red. That's why all, you know what I'm saying? Other cats wearing blue. But it was still confusing to me because I had a kingpin named Putin that started the Pyrus that lived to my left. You know what I'm saying? He was to my left in the 9th grade, but then to my right was a kingpin named Big Derrick, one of the richest cats in Compton, ever came from Compton, So I was kind of like in the middle of these two cats. So I learned to be humble and deal with both of them, but I also realized that came with some a certain amount of privilege. Just people would really bug out like, "Whoa, you just got dropped off by OG."
Right. You just took it
Oh,
as this is just life, but everybody
yeah,
else is like, ooh.
you just got dropped off by the biggest gangster that started the Pyrus. You know what I'm saying? But then you got picked up from school by the biggest crip in the world. Richest motherfucker in the world. Like, what the. So it was just an interesting life. You know what I'm saying, in Compton. But I realized I was in a circle that wasn't like everybody else. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
I didn't grow up fighting and all that crazy stuff. I got into a little bit of it, but some of my first, I was taught how to pay attention to things that don't fit, because I'm hanging around a certain community of people. You know what I mean?
Right,
I'm like,
right.
I'm like the accountant, so I'm over here counting and, what I'm saying, paying attention and watching them and listening and asking questions, riding in the back seat. So Compton for me was different because I grew up around a lot of very successful, lucrative people. You know what I mean? They was making investments and stuff. So they'd be like, TJ, go get that bag. You carry the bag of money. And I'm like, oh, okay. You know what I'm saying? Ride with me. And then I turn out and we go somewhere. And them the cats negotiating. He loaning him some money and he starting a business and he gonna get this much money back. And you know what I'm saying? Or the homie buying 2 houses on the block and this guy's the escrow guy. And I'm just like, whoa, I'm learning all this language. Like, oh, okay. So one of the interesting things for me was I saw when one of my homies, the house across the street had some undercover police in it, and then the homie got mad and he said from that point on he buying every house on his block. And
Right.
I got to witness that. You know what I'm saying? And he started negotiating with all the neighbors. He said, if you behind on your mortgage, I'm gonna help you. Don't move. You know what I'm saying? If you want to sell your house, I'll buy it.
Wow.
Wow.
If you have problems, I'll help you. So I watched him negotiate, had a gardener show up, and it was like cutting the grass at the park. They would cut every house on that block. So I grew up, this was one of the nicest streets in Compton, man. So he had nobody drive down this street, no gangbangers walking down that block, no crackhead,
Right.
nothing. This was the safest street in Compton, you know what I'm saying? So I
Wow.
grew up seeing all of this and watching all of this, thinking, oh, that's how life works. We supposed to protect the community and we supposed to invest in the community. We supposed to buy the houses, you know what I'm saying? We supposed to start the businesses. The homie owned the liquor store, the swap meet, the barbers. He owned all types of stuff. And if he didn't own it, he was investing
Right.
in it. So I grew up doing the same exact thing, homie. So, it just,
So, about how old were you when you was was this was the Crip dude that had all the money that lived on the right of you?
yeah, both of them did. Both of them was
Okay.
kingpins.
Oh, they was both
Both of
Okay.
them
king.
was
Oh,
kingpins. So I got to watch all of that,
and they never had no issues with each other. They was
They respected hey, they know who each other was. They respected each other. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? So if something need to be said, he'd be like, hey, go tell your boy, woo woo or something. I'd be like, okay, jump on my bike. You know what I'm saying? Shoot around the corner. But it was interesting, you know what I'm saying? It was very interesting
but
being
they
around.
kept the neighborhood pretty much safe though. Huh? That was like the safe
Yeah.
zone.
Yeah,
That's
people know I mess with them cats, and they really didn't bother me. They said, "Oh, that's your daddy. You with your daddy today. You can't hang out with us." I'm like, "Yeah, exactly." You know what I'm
Right.
saying? Nigga, I just rolled in the new Benz today. Y'all niggas sitting on the wall talking crap. You know what I'm saying?
So would you say that you probably grew up a little bit faster than most kids your age? Like you was more into like more of an adult mind
Yeah,
rather than just the average kid stuff. You was
yeah,
more interested in the more adult stuff, huh?
yeah. I wasn't having little ABC conversations. I was having like 4-tier conversations. Like, you know what I'm saying? If I give you this million, you gonna pay me back 1.5. And I'm like, oh, 1 point, what is 1.5? I'm hearing all of this. It's like you owe me 800,000 or teach. So I'm having conversations. I'm like, okay, well, why you loan him some money? And Why you giving them some? Oh, they gonna start a record label. You know what I'm saying? And I want her to go to school and get her attorney's license so she can help you out if something ever go wrong. I'm like, oh, okay. You know what I'm saying? But he had wide tutelage. You know what I'm saying? And I always tell people, see, it's the difference. You got cats that'll go to prison and come home after 20 years. They had millions when they was out, but then they broke when they come home. Or some come home and still got money because they knew they had wise tutelage. You feel me?
Right.
So I grew up with wise tutelage and watching things, not glorifying it, but just saying I got to see it from a business perspective. So I never had to let's go throw some rocks, and I wasn't really doing all of that. That wasn't for me.
Right. Okay.
I would go over there, they like, hey, go count this, or go ride with me over here, ride with me over there. And when I ride, I'm seeing stuff. Like I say, if you follow me on my social media, I always say stuff like, life was so much easier when I was in the back seat. You know what I'm saying? I got to watch two OGs in the front seat doing their thing, and I'm like, hey, well, what happened to them? Why we do this? Who was that? And they would answer all the questions. So I grew up different. I was in the 9th grade, homie, at Vanguard Junior High. I'm like always talking about real estate, so I would go look at the real estate books, the Architectural Digest and stuff like that. I remember my homeboy moms gave all of us, me and all my little gangster homeboys on my block hanging out with the homie Zulu. She gave everybody $10. So I walk up there with all my little blood homies, and we go they all bought candy and ice cream, and they standing behind me while I figure out which Architectural Digest magazine I want. You know what I'm saying? I'm like 10 years old. These niggas like, and I'm sitting there like, okay, hey, this house 5,000 square feet. This house got a Viking cooktop. They're like, all right, man, hurry up. I love real estate, homie. I'm at a young age because I'm hanging with this cat looking, they coming over to put a new windows in that house over there. I don't like them windows. Man, we need to put a roof on that house right there. I'm like, oh, okay. Oh, man, they want $13,000 for that roof. Let's call somebody else to get another estimate. Tell them if we do the other 4 or 5 more, can we get a better deal? I'm like, the more we do, the better deal we get. Okay. So I'm learning the language, and I'm watching them negotiate with these construction workers. I'm watching them negotiate when the beer man came to the liquor store and all of this type of stuff. Wow. I'm watching all of this business around me. You know what I'm saying? And then the homies decided, because of the gang violence growing up, matter of fact, like what you talked about, the homies decided every time somebody leave the neighborhood, they risking getting shot, So it's like the homies decided, hey, they bought like, I think 10 pieces of land, and they decided they was going to build 10 shopping centers. You know what I'm saying? 10 burger stands, 10 1-hour photos, 10 barbershops, beauty salons, blah, blah, blah. So I got to watch all of that. You know what I'm saying? I got to watch all of that. It's like, okay, well, we're going to, build this from the ground up. We're going to use brick, or we're going to use wood, or
make it to where you don't have to leave the neighborhood for nothing. So all the dollars going to circulate right there in that neighborhood, huh?
Yeah. And then I remember asking the homie, like, why Lil Pookie can't work the register? We going to give him a job. He said, Lil Pookie got sticky fingers. We don't want nobody stealing from us. You know what I'm saying?
Right,
so I had to learn all of that. We can't trust him, So I watched them do that, Then I watched the people come in and say, we taking all of that. Unless y'all can keep the barbershop. Y'all can keep everything, but we going to keep the burger. Y'all can't open them burger stands. I'm like, whoa. You see what I'm saying? Like, why we can't open the burger stands? It was like, yeah, they don't want us having no franchise, something that could grow. You feel me?
Right.
So I'm learning business. I'm learning how the system works. Dude, I ain't but 13, 14 years old. You know what I'm saying?
So you're saying like the government had a problem with you guys opening up the burger stands, or who you said them people, so you talking about, of course,
the alphabet people. Yeah, the alphabet people.
Right. So the feds had a problem with that. Okay.
Somebody got wind of what was happening. I think one of the homies' houses got raided. I don't even know if it was a state, because I was too young trying to identify which was which,
Right,
I think it was a state at that time. But when one of the homies' houses must have got raided and found the blueprint. Like, oh, burger stand, barbershop, 1 hour photo, woo, 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 woo. And then that's when they came back and tried to push them, press them cats. And it was like, but the money was coming back all legit. And it was like, so what? We don't care if y'all legit, y'all ain't opening them burger stands. You know what I'm saying? So anyway,
Wow, that's
this is
deep.
the homie telling me. So I peeped that shit out and learned. But, you know, I also was sitting in the garage of the homie Gary May. I don't know if y'all familiar with the Lowrider King guy. You know what I'm saying? This was one of my coaches. Gary May, the homie bought a lowrider from him when I was a kid, a rag tray, brandy wine, and way ahead of his time. Way ahead of his time. You know what I'm saying? So I
What
got to
year
see
is this? What year is this?
man, this was like I think this was like the 80s, early 80s or
Okay.
something. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
I heard of
Okay.
Zeus,
Yeah.
guy
Yeah.
guy named Zeus would come on, he sold the homie a car and I
Ain't
watched
he?
that.
Is that the one that's rest in peace?
Rest in peace, Zeus. Yeah,
Yep.
rest in
Yep.
peace, Zeus. Rest in peace, Gary May. A lot of
Right.
them OG cats is passed away around that I grew up around. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Rest
Okay.
in peace, Lulu, and you know what I'm saying. A lot of these cats, but yeah, I got to see a lot of things that most people wasn't privy to. So I see the world through a different set of lenses. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Right.
You know, then my grandpops and my pops they came together because moms and pops separated. So moms kept me away from pops, but he would work with grandpops to tell TJ this, give him this red toolbox. So I got my little toolbox because I'm around at mom's house fixing shit. I'm like, I'm
Right.
in the drawer getting the butter knife, trying to unloosen the screws to the light switches and trying to fix stuff. You know what I'm saying? Because she's a
Right.
single mom, so I got to make sure stuff work. So mom told me, she said, if you, I ain't got money for all of that. If you on the phone in your room, you better figure it out. Shit, I went and
Right.
got my little butter knife and went into the bedroom, took
Figured it
that thing
out.
off, and I went in mom's room and took hers off. And mine's, I pick up the phone, nothing happened. I go in the room, hers, bang. So I looked at all the wires in my room, and I saw a wire hanging, and I went in the room, in mom's room, and that wire was connected. So I went back in my room and I tested it, bang, like, okay, we got phone service now.
That's
Right.
crazy. I gotta tell the truth. Most I would have did was bought a long cord.
Yeah, man, I just learned, man. I watched. I grew up.
Right.
Deep.
I
That's
was
deep.
taught how to pay attention. That's one thing I was taught. Pay attention. Listen to what
Right,
they
right.
saying.
Okay.
Don't be so quick to talk. Listen.
So
Watch.
what type of student were you? You got good grades in school?
Honestly, homie, I did enough just to get by. I was
Okay.
I was the guy that the teacher would say, "Oh, y'all got to do this big report." I'm like, okay. So I was smart enough to go in there and say, if I don't do the report, what's my grade gonna be? Oh, you gonna pass? You barely gonna pass. I said, okay, that's cool. I ain't doing it. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Right,
Yeah.
right,
So
right.
I was a C average kind of cat. You know what I'm saying? Because I
Yeah,
was like,
yeah.
I was doing too much. It's like these cats out here shooting at people, gang banging, and you know what I'm saying? It's too much happening. So, but I tell you this: the first time I got an A, homie, they put me in auto mechanic class in high school. I think in the 12th grade, maybe. Hey, it was over with, man. I was like, oh shit, this is for me right here.
What high school did you end up at?
I went to Centennial High
Oh,
School.
you went to Centennial?
Okay.
I got
Yeah.
stories about Centennial, man.
Go ahead, break one down. Tell us one. Tell us one of them stories.
So, like, she had the blood and Crip side of the school, so it was a predominantly blood school. So I would say
Right.
75% was Bloods and
Okay.
25 was Crips, right? So remember, my homeboy Zulu, he was like the leader of the gangbangers. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Right.
Everybody was around him. So, and that's my brother. That's me. We come back from the marbles, shooting marbles in the sandbox. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
Right.
Right.
I had his ear. He knew I was different, so I had his ear. I would always tell him, like, leave them niggas alone. Don't do that. So anyway, I remember we sitting at the table, like the Bloods had to eat potato chips and sodas. So brother would have the red packet potato Doritos in the cactus cooler every day, homie. Or we would send some females to the other side of the school, to the Crip side, because they had hot food. They had burritos and all of that.
Oh,
So
wow.
yeah, so I almost got kicked out of school for so many times for weird stuff, homie. It's like
Right.
so one day they one day we sitting there. I remember this chick, this 3 people came over to us and started asking for work. And all the homies start jumping up, getting excited, like, oh, I got you. I looked at my boy like, you know what I'm saying? Y'all sit your ass down. They were like, I'm like, everybody in school know where to get wherever it is. You know what I'm saying? Who got it? All right, if you go to school and you from the hood, everybody know who got it, right?
Right, yeah.
And they're thinking, that don't make no sense to me. Now, remember the homies teach me to pay attention. So I'm paying attention, and that didn't add up. So I looked at the homie like, you know what I'm saying? And he told them to. So then I said, do you know them? He was like, nah, they probably Crips from over there. So I turned around, nobody knew them, but everybody wanted to help them. So I was like, that don't make no sense. I'm going to walk over there and ask them, what's up with them 3, you know? So I walked over to the Crip side, and they said, what? We thought they was Bloods. Like, uh-oh.
21 Jump Street, huh?
Yeah, it is.
Wow.
Yeah, by 3 o'clock, I was in handcuffs on my way to jail. You know what I'm saying?
God.
So luckily for me, the principal knew you the guy that keeps things down, keep the trouble and all the drama down, because you always telling them, don't beat them up. He don't know what them British night shoes really mean. He just buying them because everybody else got them. I'd be like, you know what I'm saying? Leave that thing. So they got aware of that, so they turned around and try to say, oh, he the leader. He's the leader.
Oh, wow.
Like, no, I just got the ear of these dudes, you know, this one.
Right.
So the principal said, what the hell, what's going on? What's Loftin doing here? You know what I'm saying? She's like, he's not nothing. He don't gang bang and sell, you know, they like, he pointed out and identified, you know what I'm saying? And blah, blah, blah. She was like, Loftin, what was that? What happened? What was that about? I said, shit, me and the fellas, we was about to drop out of school trying to help them find whatever they was trying to buy. Because they were talking about a lot of money. Man, the teacher, the principal, Miss Goins, her name was, she got mad. She was like, y'all told me y'all knew who had it, and y'all was there for one person. This is entrapment. Take them handcuffs off him and get him out. Get out of here. I was like,
whoa.
Yeah.
Wow, okay.
So I had a very interesting upbringing, you know what I mean?
So did you ever consider yourself a gangbanger?
Nah. I consider myself the peacemaker.
So they ran Centennial damn near like a prison. Like they really like the school enforced the division like that? It was damn.
No, the security did
that.
Wow.
You know what I'm saying? So that labeled them to say he's the leader of the gang members up here. You know what I'm saying? He said, no. He said, partners. I was the one who saved people from getting beat up. So no, I wasn't no Crip. I wasn't no gang. I wasn't no gangbanger, you know. And I grew up. I'm like, a Crip picked me up from school every now and then. What are you talking about, you know? So it was just different for me, you know what I'm saying? It was just weird, but it was hard going through school because of, you know, it was just wild stuff happening, you know. You doing there? Like, I ain't worried about it. And nothing happened. You know what I'm saying? So it'd be stuff like that. So they'd be like, you got some stuff to do with all that. I'm like, I just know a lot of people. I'm humbled and thankful for that, you know. But it was that energy that the dude from school that I graduated from, the Crip dude that everybody wanted to beat up, that was my partner. He turns around and he told his homeboy from Grape Street, the second man in Grape, that TJ was the one that, you know, blah, 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 was protecting everybody. He spoke up on our behalf, and he was like, how did you make it through Centennial? And it was like, TJ. He was like, shit, the dude who willing to stand up for you, I want to meet that cat. And I was like, so next thing you know, I met that brother, and this dude, people was like, dude, you know who that is? Are you crazy messing with that cat? So he was like he was the same thing as my homeboy Puddin'. He was just the shoot him up, kidnapping, jacking kind of cat, you know. But low key, these cats wanted to end all that gang violence. So years later, here's my thing though. Years later, so I'm running around with him, and he's taking me around places. And here we go again. He telling everybody that he with his homeboy Polo from Campanella Park, Piru, and I would cringe every time he said that shit. because that was not me. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
But he elevating me up, setting me up for what I had to do later in life. How about that? You know? So he
Well,
telling all his OG homeboys who I am, and this dude's a OG. But yeah, that's what that was. You know what I'm saying? Homie's name, he told me that, so I was like, okay, cool, Polo, whatever. But I wasn't really pushing that with that, you know. But it just boiled down to, homie, I remember you know, this rap stuff was getting ready to take off. So the homies told me, you know, they always wanted to start shooting these videos, but y'all ain't coming in my hood shooting no lowrider videos. That was the kind of like the common thing, you know. You got to really make some phone calls to be able to come back in Compton and shoot a video or shoot a movie and stuff, you know. So, you know, so I grew up under Terry Carter and all of that. I don't know if you remember, rest in peace, Terry Carter, the one Suge ran over.
okay. Right. I know. Well, I know of him. I don't know him, but I know that story about him. I know he got ran
Right.
over. Right.
So, you know, that was one of my coaches, and this was like the businessman cat. You know, I'm like in the 9th, 12th, 11th, 12th grade, and he riding around in a Corniche, you know. He owned the big car lot over here. He owned the lowrider shop. You know what I'm saying? It's like, so I get to sit down with him and hear all the money stories and the business ideas and stories and stuff like that. You know, and then
How'd you get started with low riding? Like, when did you get your first low rider? Was you still in school, or was you out of school?
I was in school, but I had a Monte Carlo, and I started fixing that up. You know what I'm saying? But eventually, I ended up with a deuce and a tray. You know, so right after high school, I had that. But the homie Terry Carter, he sold it. He told me you should sell this. You know what I'm saying? I got somebody want to buy it. Some Japanese cats. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So I was one of the first
Wow.
cats ship a car to Japan. Sold it to a guy that was shipping it to Japan. You know, but so Gary May, I'm sitting there. Gary May and Terry Carter had a shop together, and they was doing low riding stuff. So I was always with them cats, listening to them cats, learning from them cats, asking questions. And then my big brother name was Cap. You know what
Did
I'm
you
saying?
did you work at the shop also? Is that, or was you hustling? Was you hustling, or was you
I
working?
would go over and work. I would go over and be in the garage when he came over to work on stuff or something. But yeah, I went up there a couple of times and turned some wrenches and was helping out. But my brother name was Cap,
Okay.
so he would be my play brother name was Cap. So he was always, you know, chop shop, stealing cars and all of that, and putting lowriders together. So I would be at his garage
Right.
learning the nuts and bolts behind things, and you know how to make a old Suburban into a new Suburban, and you know what I'm saying, and
Right.
how to convert this into that, or how to take my regular Monte Carlo and convert it into a luxury sport, or the regular Carlo to a SS, you know. So this is how we take the front end off, and we're gonna switch the interior and the dashboard, and I learned all of that stuff from Cap. But yeah, so I learned hydraulics from Gary May, and I learned restorations and upgrades from Cap. You know what I'm saying? Plus hydraulics. So that's how I got that. So by '89, I had some nice stuff. You know, I was doing okay.
So yes, so
But
dang. So you was like 17, about 16, 17, and
17, 18, right?
17,
So
18. Okay.
so what put me on the map was because I had that relationship with the dude in school that I would protect, that I
Right.
never let nothing happen to him. The
Okay.
dude Money, he turned around and when people found out I was running around with the number two man from Grape Street or whatever, one of the big names of Grape, you know, they knew that hey, we need to do something. So Momo came home from the pen, and he had Gary May build him a rag deuce called the super deuce, right?
Which Momo?
So
Momo from Fruitown?
Fruitown Momo, yeah.
Okay, okay.
So he told Momo, okay, if you want to go to the Super Show, you should call TJ instead of just gangstering it. Let's check in basically what he said. You know, so he said TJ knows a lot of OG cats. You know what I'm saying? Go through TJ because he knew about all these guys that I dealt with. You know, because I would have them buy stuff from him, or I was like, he want this and they want that. You know, And it was like, man, you need to talk to TJ. He deal with a lot of different cats that I bet them cats he know they can open the door and make sure we can make it there without shooting at people, you know, or getting shot at. You
Right.
know, because both of their cars was red. You know what I'm saying? And we gonna go to a Crip neighborhood with these cars. It was like that wasn't a good thing, you know. And then on the real, I would go to the car shows with my Crip homie I was just telling y'all about, you know.
Right.
I'm hanging with them, going to the car shows, and wasn't really no bloods at the LA super shows and all that. So what ended up happening was Momo came home and he was ready to go to the show, and Momo was looking for me. The homie said, "Momo looking for you." I'm like, "What?" I just got my first $2. I don't need to be getting robbed, you know. I'm thinking
Right.
this dude looking to jack me or something, you know. TJ got some money with them big ass glasses, you know, got that deuce over there. You know what I'm saying? So I'm like, nah, I'm cool. But fast forward the story, they set me up. My homeboy, he had my homeboy call him. He said, "Yeah, you know that nigga TJ?" He said, "Yeah, that's my homeboy." So he called me and said, "Could he meet me at where you at, man? I want to holler at you. I gotta tell you something." I said, "Oh, I'll be at Mom's house in 30 minutes." So I get over there, him and Momo pulled up. You know what I'm saying? And jumped out the hard top deuce. And this dude, like, arms is like that. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
My homeboy said, "You was scared, wasn't you?" I said, "Yeah, I guess I was." You know what I'm saying? Hey, but I was mad more than scared because I'm thinking he finna try to rob me, you know? So he tell me, "I need you. You fuck with them Crip niggas, right?" From Great. I just paused for like 40 seconds. You know what I'm saying? Like nigga, be careful how you answer this question. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So I said, yeah, what about it? He said, "I want you to call him and let him know that we want to go to the car show, you know what I'm saying, and we don't want no problem." I said, "I don't think that's a good idea." And the homie go, he behind him like, "Don't tell him no," you know what I'm saying? So, hey, Momo told me something that changed my life, man, and inspired my whole life. And he said, if you don't do that, homie, I'm gonna shoot up everything that you own forever. You ain't never gonna have nothing nice again if you don't do that shit. You know what I'm saying? So I was
Yeah.
like, "Oh, okay. Well, you know, I can make a phone call."
And
Because
often
I
you
already
can't
knew.
refuse and shit.
Yeah. So I called the homie, and the homie like, "What? Like, is that right?" I said, "Yeah." He said, "Well, if they want to do that, tell them we want to go to the swap meet or we want to do this." And so now we negotiating, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
They don't want us coming to their store over there, you know what I'm saying? So I was like, okay, well, I tell him next thing you know, okay, it's cool. He took care of that. Fast forward the story, he's like, how many cars y'all got coming through there? Momo said, probably about 50. Dude, it was more like 500. You know what I'm saying?
Damn.
Hey, that was the biggest move. I ain't never seen nothing like that in my life, homie. Niggas was throwing AKs over the fence of the convention center that day. The police was stumped like they wasn't prepared for that. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
They was not prepared for that. But long story short, hey, we had a day of no drama.
Wasn't no
Niggas,
drama. Wow, that's big.
hey, it was wild, homie.
That's
So we
big.
went up there.
And you brokered that. Yeah, you brokered that, huh?
And that was the day that Terry Carter rest in peace, turned around and said, "You need to open up a lowrider shop because all these niggas respect you. They know you. You know what I'm saying?
Wow.
You the one who brokered this deal out, so you got a lot of niggas who love you
That's
because
real
they enjoy
shit.
this right here. You know what I'm saying? So
Wow.
all of a sudden, they kept pushing me, and then my brother Cap, I started what do you call it, a express gold plating where I would do the gold letters on cars and stuff back in like 1992 or something like that, right? And my brother came in and said, "Man, let's work on lowriders, man. What you doing? Let's do lowriders." I'm like, "Hell no, that's too much oil, you know." So they kept pushing, and then Terry Carter, "Man, you fucking around. You need to open a lowrider shop." So I started selling lowrider parts, and I started doing chrome suspension exchange, and I start buying frames and having rolling chassis ready for exchange. You know what I'm saying? And then I had started doing rim repairs. So the homie said, "You fixing these wheels, you fixing these Daytons, so you can get this, and the hubs, the nipples, the spokes, and all of that." He said, "Why don't you just buy? If you give me some money, I can buy a hub and you can start your own rim company. We could make a hub, and you can start your own wheel company. I said, damn, I could be the man. You know what I'm saying? Like, I could be the plug if everybody. This was the fake dating. So I was the one who made the fake datings, the China. Everybody called them the Chinas, right? And I just thought about something with y'all when I got on the phone. We was talking about in a minute. Y'all talking about Pakoima. So I started making these fake dates, right? The problem was nobody knew what the Compton wire wheels was because everybody who got them put the dating sticker on them. You
Right.
see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So if you go back and get your old magazines, old lowrider magazines, you'll see Compton Wire Wheel in the in my ad. Exclusive dealer of Compton Wire Wheels, you know. So that blew up and we ended carjacking, stopped after that. You know what I'm saying? The price because I made them so cheap. I only said I wanted $9.99. So that was something that I really wanted to do. Because they was mad. They was like, man, you still sell them for $1,500 or something, or you can sell these wheels for $1,300 too, you know. And I'm like, nah, homie. My homie told me a long time ago, if wheels is worth $9.99, he wouldn't be out here carjacking nobody. You know what I'm saying? Because he couldn't sell them but for $500. So I was like, so 5 years later, they was like, now I'm in control of the wheels, and it was my money, and I own the business. So they like, man, you can get this much. And I was like, $9.99, homie. And I was like, I wasn't budgeting. They was like, you could make all this money. You could do this and you could do that. I'm like, nah, I don't need that, homie. $9.99. That's what it is. Make it happen. And next thing you know, boom. All this carjack. The homie who said that he carjacked somebody, the homie told me he was mad at me. I said, why? He said he jacked somebody for some of them $9.99 wheels. So he couldn't get for $500 for them. So he was mad about that, you know. But that kind of ended right there, you know. So it opened the door, homie, for me to do very well. But one of your homies from your neighborhood helped me out from your city. When I was doing that, I had Compton Wire wheels. I had Expressco plate, and I was fixing wheels. I was doing all type of stuff. And I was also the first black. I'm like the first black that was in Lowrider magazine consistently from 94 all the way to 2009. You feel me? So I was like the only black in Lowrider magazine. But long story short, I'm talking about for a shop.
Right.
You got brothers that was in there with their Lowrider for that 1 month, but I was the first shop that was in there. But
so you was only like what, 23, 24 years old doing all this, huh?
Yeah. So yeah, I was really remember the background though.
Right. Yeah, you learned business from some real dudes. Yeah.
Yeah, I learned the structure. You know, this guy got 50 of them kind of houses doing bad things out of them. I watched how he got his money back and forth, and I saw all of that. So I turned around and start doing it legally, just switch the product. You know what I'm saying? So what ended up happening was I'm running all these ads in Lowrider magazine, Street Wheels, Street Customs magazine, Scrape magazine, all these magazines, homie. I'm in all the magazines, right?
Dang.
Spending a lot on advertising because somebody said you should advertise. I said, what the fuck is that? You know what I'm saying? What is advertising? He said, go put this shit in a magazine or in a newspaper, let people know what you do, because you're the only one fixing wheels. You're the only one that sell those wheels. You're the only one that got chrome suspension exchange. You're the only one that sell rolling chassis exchange. You know what I'm saying? So I started putting it in Lowrider magazine, and Lowrider all them cats, they would mess up my phone number every month. They would mess up my address every month. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, if it's the same ad, how's the address been changed? Who changed the address? You know what I'm saying?
Okay, they was
So
hating.
it was always a problem. So I was having problems with Lowrider. But then one day I was on Crenshaw, and the homie said, look at this video. He showed me a video and said, look. He said, this dude's selling Lowrider videos. And then it just hit me. It was like, this shit could be amazing if this is real time. You know what I'm saying? So I found the young hog dude from the Valley. You know what I'm saying? From Pakoima.
Am Johnson.
That's
Am Johnson, rest in peace.
Rest in peace, young Am.
Young
Wow.
Hog. Salute. Pakoima's young Am. Young Hog.
Y'all fine. Let me tell
Yes,
y'all
sir.
his contributions in low riding history. I turn around, I say I discovered that cat on Crenshaw. because he was out there with his 500 videos trying to sell his videos to the cats out there. You know what I'm saying? He probably had a trunk full of them. But when I seen it, I knew what he was, who he was. Nobody had nothing like that. It was no other videos with lowriders on it that was for sale. So I said, I already recognized the good business when I saw it. I said, this shit'll be big. And he out here trying to lock down Crenshaw. So I told him, I said, homie, I got a shop. I'm over there in Gardena. I want to sell. He, man, you can't be over here on Crenshaw selling. I said, homie, give me a wholesale price and I'm going to sell them in my shop. And you ain't never got to worry about me fucking around on Crenshaw selling nothing, no videos or nothing. You take Crenshaw, I'm going to take the rest of the world. You know what I'm saying?
Wow. Huh.
So I took his videos and I put that Lowrider magazine ad I had.
Yeah.
I turned around and said, official distributor of Young Hog videos. Nobody ever advertised Young Hog. Remember, I'm the only one in Lowrider magazine. So if you look up, go do your Lowrider magazine history, and you'll see the first time you ever heard of a Young Hog was through Express Gold Plating. So now I got cats calling me. I gave Amp 5 G's. He said, give me $5,000 worth of them videos. Because he gave them to me for like $10 a piece, right? And I'm selling them for $25, right? Dang. So I'm laying them out. I got cats calling me from all around the world, from Germany, Australia, New Zealand, because I'm shipping lowriders to these places, right? So they call me asking me, what's up with this Young Hog video? Is it lowriders on there? Is it the ones in the rap videos? I said, yeah. All the cars on there. It's all the blacks. They're like, blacks in lowrider? For real? Like, yeah, it's not Mexicans, it's blacks. You know what I'm saying? Dude, can I get, how many y'all got? We got 2 of them. Can I get like $500 worth? I'm in Asia. I get $1,000, I'm in Japan. You know what I'm saying? Next thing you know, we got 10 and 20 of them. Can I get 500 of each? Can I get 1,000 of each? So, dude, I'm negotiating deals. People saying, can I be the exclusive distributor of Young Hog videos in Germany? And I had to I said, hey, let me call you right back, homie. I hung the phone up, called Terry Carter up, because remember, he got the record label with Ice Cube. And I said, hey, Terry, what the fuck is an exclusive distribution? He said, TJ, he said, that's some shit that'll get you killed. You know what I'm saying? We don't even do that. You know what I'm saying? He said, I own a record label and we don't even do that. And he said, man, he just started laughing, right? He said, why? I said, this guy in Germany wanted to get the exclusive distributor of Young Hog videos. So I said, he said, tell that motherfucker $5,000 a month average. She got a minimum of $5,000 a month. He said way higher than that, but I said 10. I said 5. You know what I'm saying? Right, so I told dude, that dude said, done, I'll take it. Give me $50,000 worth, but we need them in POW. So I called back and I told Hog, I said, hey man, when you make the videos, I need them in POW. Hog said, who need them in POW? We getting into it like a motherfucker because he wants the direct relationship.
Right. Hell yeah.
We're not going to do that, good brother. Hey, so fast forward the story, homie. Fast forward the story. I got cats on the phone asking me, where's Crenshaw at? You know what I'm saying? Asking me, man, what's up with Big Punchy? What's up? Did he fix the phone? And I'm like, who the fuck is this? Nigga, you in Kentucky. You're like, man, I'm looking at my brother said, TJ, you ain't been watching the videos, have you? I'm like, why you say that? He like, Punchy, they watching the videos, man. Punchy wrecked the phone, or Punchy did this, or Big such and such did that. I'm like, oh, okay. You know, niggas was really watching these videos. So now we go on Crenshaw. Now you got Mexicans showing up on Crenshaw. I'm like, what the fuck? Because they was not out there at first. You know what I'm saying? But they was watching these Young Hog videos.
Damn.
So now it's like the whole world changed. So your boy,
rest in peace, Amp. That's big, homie. That's big.
He changed the whole
Salute,
world,
homie.
dude.
Salute, God. That's
Amp
huge,
Thompson.
man.
You did
That's
that.
huge, man.
Rest in peace,
I remember
Young
him
Hog.
riding around the hood.
For real.
Bouncing this shit and all that. That shit was crazy, but that's deep, man. That's big.
Yeah.